Close enough for government work.
That's
Oh man. Well, we made it, Ariel. Happy Friday.
Rick, cheers.
Cheers. Got a new tasty non-alcoholic beverage again today. I'm rocking this Cocoa Joy watermelon juice. It's kind of deceiving because it does taste like there's coconut in it, but
Hmm.
it's just watermelon juice and cane sugar. 2 grams of cane sugar. I try to keep the added
Okay.
sugars pretty
Yeah.
low.
All right. And in the spirit of not being in Munich this week, missing last year in Munich, German, Bavarian, Weihenstephaner, Weihenstephaner Hellas,
Vine Stefana.
Weihenstephaner. I had one of these, one of their other brews on the show a couple of years ago, I believe.
Yeah, I think I remember having
Yeah.
that with you.
Yeah. There's one that one our most local liquor store often has Weihenstephaner. And I'm a big fan. I like it.
Well, when I went in there asking him for it, he was like, I've never heard of that before. And he took me right over to it and was like, we've got this one here. And it was that. So maybe he just doesn't know maybe I didn't know how to pronounce it too well, but it was pretty funny. But yeah, no Munich, but a raise of the glass to our friends out there. We have a lot of friends out in Munich this week. So,
Indeed.
um, yeah, I mean, this is the last year of Munich, so I think the rooms just went faster than normal because by the time we had reached out to inquire about a room out there, they were already all booked up like completely. Um, so it's probably for the better. That means we get to have a little more time to plan for the first year of Vienna high end.
Yeah.
So
I'm also really excited about that.
yeah, me too.
Really curious to see if that takes off, how well attended it is. A little nervous, but hopeful.
Yeah. I mean, we might have to take a couple of extra days. I want to visit the KTM factory. That would be awesome. Um, yeah, so we're gonna make some plans for that. Gosh, I mean, this is kind of related, kind of not. I've caught some really cool shows the last couple weeks. I got a chance, not this week, but I think it was last week. It's all a blur now. Yeah, last week. Got to see the Aristocrats with Guthrie Govan, Marco Miniman on drums, and Brian Beller on bass, and those guys are insanely good. I'm gonna have to drag you out to them next time. But yeah, the Aristocrats are fantastic. Like really hard to quantify like their music. It's like kind of rock, jazz, fusion kind of stuff. It's just
Okay.
they're all over the place. They just draw so many different styles into their little power trio. And then I got to see some heavy metal this week. Got to go see I think some legends from Norway, Emperor, and some of my local Colorado boys who's got a band kind of taken off, Wayfarer, and it's like
Mhm.
if you had like some Norwegian black metal with a tinge of Colorado, old Western Colorado kind of sound mixed in there.
Okay.
It's really cool. And then 2 nights ago was Cradle of Filth and Dying Fetus and
Great names.
yeah, um, and Flesh God Apocalypse from Italy. That band really caught me by surprise. I'd never listened to them before. Because with that name, I was just like, oh, I think I can imagine what they sound like. And it wasn't at all what I was expecting. They had a pianist up on stage. They had this real kind of like dark kind of piratey, baroque kind of like atmosphere to their stage setting, and they had a female like operatic singer as
Wow.
well. And so it was like heavy metal, but they had a live piano with this like really symphonic, sweeping, arpeggiating kind of playing in the background, and this opera singer, and it was really cool. So not at all what I was expecting from Flesh God Apocalypse, but um, yeah, live music. That's one of the reasons why we do all this stuff, right? Is we want to
Yeah.
recreate that live experience as much as you can, and
Right.
so yeah, it's good to do that. But yeah, I think
Yep.
we did an episode on the MXRs, and that was
Yeah. Product number 14.
14. I
Yeah.
was 14 out of 32 in 32 years. That's a pretty good average.
It's all right. Yeah. Sorry.
32 quality products.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I know many times we wish we could get products out faster and do two or three a year. It might help in certain aspects, but yeah, it is what it is. And we'll keep pushing.
Yeah, gives us more time to focus and create a cool product like that PX8 with all those
Yep.
awesome, neat features that it has. We've shipped quite a few of those out now, and
Starting to get feedback on them.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, getting great feedback on it. Just so people are just saying it's got better clarity and detail and imaging and lower noise. Like there's just so many things that I'm hearing from people from what it's giving them that they didn't have before. So it's
Awesome.
I'm
Love hearing that.
yeah, same
Yeah.
here.
It's always a little bit nerve-wracking sending a new product out into the world, especially something like a phono preamp where again, like I do as much testing on I can here with as many configurations as we can, but especially in the vinyl world, there are so many different configurations that can affect the hum and the noise and this and that it's a bit nerve-wracking to send it out. So, all right, what situations are going to be thrown at it? It's going to throw it a curveball, and it's not going to meet people's needs. And so, I love hearing that so far.
Yeah.
There's no issues with hum or this or that, and it's people are really happy with it. So,
I mean,
um,
maybe we'll throw the disclaimer out here now though, but if you have a
again,
yeah, well, yeah, we did talk about this
yes,
before, I think, but if you have a captive tone arm cable and it's tied
not
together,
with not enough separation to reach the outer edges of the chassis,
yeah, that
where the RCA input connector and the balance, but especially the RCA inputs are the furthest edges of the rear of the chassis.
yeah, that might be an issue, but
Yes.
there's only been a couple people that have reported that back, and there's solutions in the works for those kind of situations. But it seems like a lot of modern turntables, like Reaganaya or just Rega in general, and Bergman. Um, gosh, there was a couple others that jumped out at me too, but yeah, like it seems like a lot of modern turntables. It's not as much of an issue, so
Right.
that's good. But yeah,
Right.
they're spaced out for a good reason because they're getting away from that power line and
Yep.
that weak phono signal coming into the preamp. It's not good to have it next to that AC IEC inlet
Right.
coming into the unit.
Anyway,
There's a method to the
yeah.
madness.
Right. So anyway, PX8's out. Getting great feedback on that.
Yeah, and we did product 14, so today I thought product 15 would be awesome,
Or
and
15.
we could wrap a few other topics into it because this is our L5xe line filter.
That's right. AC power filter. Yeah, that's what we named it right here in the back. Yeah. So the genesis of this product is a bit different as far as Ayre's history. Because this is not a product that we necessarily thought up. It was instigated by one of our distributors who, you know, um, both through some experience as well as, some of our promotion of our um, air conditioner power line filtering that we incorporated into most of our products at the time. And so I think we've talked about this in previous episodes where we used to use ferrites and then over time, those get magnetized and cause problems. So we ditched that and designed our own patent pending air conditioner that basically had all the benefits of a ferrite, but without but without any magnetic components that could become magnetized over time and have
Hmm.
detrimental effects. So our whole air conditioner AC line filtering that we put into most of our products. And so one of our distributors wanted us to make a product that was essentially one or multiples of our air conditioner that they could use both on our products as well as any other products, so that any audio product could benefit from that technology, which is a good idea. Uh, Charlie was really skeptical at the time, at first, um, just because our products already had an air conditioner in them, and so he was skeptical that adding a product that pretty much all it did was going to benefit that. We we kind of mocked up a really crude um, test fixture and we tried it out. And even I think we used MXRs and we put another essentially air conditioner filter outside of the MXR, so in series with the power line in the MXR, which had an air conditioner inside, and
Hmm.
it did in fact benefit, which was a kind of shock to Charlie. But it's so that's surprising. I mean, the air conditioner is not a perfect device. It has a certain level of attenuation, and so again, this could vary widely based on where you are geographically, or where you are, what kind of power system you have in your country or your neighborhood, or just how much filtering is necessary
Right.
to optimize your system can easily vary. And um, so once we learned that, yes, it was beneficial. We did some tests where we did like, right, well, if two is better than one, then what about three, four in series? And so it was definitely diminishing returns at like past about two. Three was it was like I think it was hardly noticeable. But two was there. So anyway, we decided to go ahead and make an actual product out of it. And so it's um I know. So you have our IC inlet, and there's four completely separate, isolated outputs, and there's no switching. It is hardwired from the input to each of the outlets. And so there's no switching element. It is a very large gauge Cardas wire for each of the phases of the power line. And then there's just our passive air conditioning filter. Um, there's one for each outlet. Each one has its own filter.
Yeah.
So it's really simple. It's just a bunch of inside. There's wires and the spools wrapped around, which are the air conditioners. Probably seen pictures. You can find pictures of that easily online. And there's just an indicator light on the front, just to indicate that it's receiving power. That's it. There's no electronics besides the LED, and it's just passive filtering. Um, and I'm not familiar with all the products out there. I know a lot of the power products out there are more we might consider power conditioners or such, where they are a bit more active. And we've done many years ago. We've tried many, and we've talked to many customers who have them, and we have never found benefit, at least with our products, with any of the air amplifiers, preamplifiers, sources. Um, we've always found that they benefited from not using any of those conditioning type
Yeah.
products.
Less is more.
Less and more. yeah. So, and I know many of those products are popular, and they may be effective on certain other products. And so if you do use, especially if you're using any of our gear, I would dare you to try bypassing it, plugging it directly into the wall.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of those, uh, like anything that's classified as like a power conditioner, a lot of the times they're filtering by way of like filter caps, maybe like there's capacitors or resistors in line with the power that's coming in
Yeah, yeah. Well,
or out to the
there
unit.
are there are several methods involves capacitors, chokes. There are more active conditioners where actually regenerating power. So, yeah, there's a bunch of different options.
Yeah.
Yes, and so some of them are more heavy-handed than others. And yeah, I'm not. It's been many years since I've looked. I've investigated any of them, so I'm not familiar with what's
What's out
really out there right
in the
now. I've
yeah.
kind of moved on from that.
Well,
Yeah,
I think it's paid dividends by putting the time and the effort into the internal power supplies into
right.
the products that we're making itself. But um, I think it's really interesting that like the air conditioner technology was really kind of like spurred on around development of the MXR, it sounds like then. Um, or
No,
no, oh, okay. Well, the air, oh,
air
sorry,
conditioner.
the air,
No,
okay.
this. I mean,
This
I mean,
product.
this product. Yeah, I mean, it was right after the MXRs.
Okay.
That was just circumstantial timing as far as the
Got it. Yeah,
MXRs.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna say I know that we went back and started adding it to products as early as the V3. So
Oh yeah.
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 So we had
Yeah.
been using that for a while, but
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It was that was even pretty early on when I was at Air. So in the first couple of years that I was at Air was when we started the air conditioner. So it was
Dang.
in the 90s.
It's
I'm pretty sure.
pretty old then,
That's right.
huh?
Pretty old.
Well, yeah, it is a unique approach. I mean, I think it's probably one of the most like non-invasive means of filtration for
Yep.
power that you could come up with. I mean, so each one of these ice or outlets is isolated from one another, which that in itself is kind of unique. There's a lot of power conditioners and other power filter type products where you've got rows of duplexes and none of them are isolated from one another.
Mhm.
Um, uh, what sort of benefits can you speak to that as far as having, one product isolated from the other as for, and what sort of benefits would that have?
Well, so I think the biggest benefit on this is again like when you have a system where you have both analog and digital products in your rack. Let's say so if you have a rack of maybe four products, and this is on the bottom, and so many digital products, whether it has a switching supply or not, it might be generating more noise and be um, trying to conduct more noise onto the power line.
Hmm.
And so even this can almost work in the opposite direction where it's where a source may be trying to put noise onto the line. And so with one outlet having its own filter, it that is then again isolating from that noise at least from reaching and contaminating the whole system as much. Whereas if you're just plugged straight into the wall, the same outlet, there's going to be a much more direct connection for that noise to basically infiltrate the power going to those other products.
What about the grounding on this? Is that the grounding isolated from one another that as well? That's
That's the round here is um, um, there is the the third wire around each of the filters. So the ground is filtered the exact same as the two phases of the power.
Nice. Okay.
Um, and then um, I don't have this one
Which,
open. I'm trying to remember how it's all wired up, but
yeah. Well, that's handy
they
for,
must filter the same way,
yeah. Well,
essentially.
yeah. And that's handy for products that are really not ours, I guess, because
Right.
all of our products are fully floating ground.
Floating safety round, yes.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. And so that was something that, again, we did. That was almost the same time that we came up with the air conditioner originally, where we were playing around with the filtering and the grounding. And we learned that with a lot of testing, it was a big improvement to the sound to not connect to that earth ground. And then so we then have to meet other standards to meet safety standards. We either there's a separate kind of that isolated grain, isolated ground standard we have to meet for safety certification. And we do that.
Mhm.
It's actually pretty simple. Um, but yeah, so pretty much any of our products do not use that third pin, and so a lot of our more modern products don't even have the IC with that third pin to make it very obvious that it's not connected.
Yeah. Well, with this being a totally passive device and it having that really non-invasive air conditioner technology for the filtration, something that I've kind of come to learn both in using it and from feedback from people is that the quality of the power cable bringing the power into the whole network of plugs there has a pretty notable impact on things. You know, if you're going to use a smaller gauge, basic power cord versus something thicker gauge, like a big 12 gauge kind of power cable, like a nice big chunky Cardas or something like that, you know, the quality of the power out to these four outlets seems to pick up quite a bit from a lot of the feedback and again use personal use on it that I've had. Um,
Hmm.
this one here I ended up loaning to a mastering engineer for a good while. He's actually still making his rounds through uh, various hi-fi brands, power products. Great guy. His name's Brian Lucy. Brian, if you're watching, what's up? But he has a Magic Garden Mastering Studio down in Los Angeles area. But he's been trying, you know, AudioQuest and Shanyata and the Air, and I don't know what he's moved on to since then. But he had high praise for this as one of his favorite ones that he's tried so far. But he's you know, he's a pro guy, studio guy, mastering guy, and he's just within the last year really discovered hi-fi in a sense. Like he's big name in mastering, but you know, he's really now starting to go down this rabbit's hole of trying different cables and power products out, and this was one of his top favorite picks so far. So he might, after his rounds are done, come back and take one home. But
Okay.
that's yeah, he's put many hours onto it, and whether it was his studio equipment or guitar amplifiers, um, he just found that there was like a certain kind of magic that it brought to the sound, and he likes how simple it is.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, being a mastering engineer, he wants like as simple and ideally a shorter signal path as possible. But yeah, he likes simple electronics. This is
All
also my favorite chassis, probably.
right.
I mean, I've said that
Yeah.
I think a few times since I've started here, but I just love the proportions and the dimensions of this thing. It's just it's pretty perfect
Yeah.
for a lot of rigs.
Yeah. Which it shares these dimensions with the P5 phono stage, but there's only two products we made in this. It's again like because it's the size limits any kind of limits transformer size and capacitor size and anything like that. So it's hard to put uh, just anything in this size. But anyway, yeah, it is a very nice, sleek package.
You know, if we made it like half an inch taller, it'd be like two rack unit. Be like
Mhm.
perfect for a 2 RU unit. And then we could do a lot of cool things with it. Well, yeah, so it's totally passive. Power conditioners are using a little more elaborate filtration. I think, again, like filter caps and resistors, trying to tackle different frequency bands typically. And then you mentioned active devices. So there are like sine wave generators
Yeah,
out there, which
yeah,
are much more elaborate than something like this. Essentially,
yeah.
it's like a power amplifier
It
for
is
your
exactly. Yeah,
yeah, it's like a power amplifier for your electronics. Um,
yeah,
and, and so with something like that, it's taking AC in, converts it to DC.
yeah, yeah. It's basically just a power amp that is amplifying a sine wave regenerated. So it's yeah. So it's it's definitely the idea there is you are the most separated from the power grid and any potential problems it might have. And so it can control the amplitude much better in theory. So you can hit 120 volts exactly and keep it there much better than with whatever fluctuations you might see on the power line in your area.
Right.
Um, but there it's at least really what we found is that and that mm, um, certainly when you're trying to I certainly have issue with using something like that on something like a power amplifier that's going to be potentially pretty current hungry, where um, it's just you should have it's much more difficult to be able to provide the same kind of current capacity that just you that even just that even just your wall outlet can,
Right.
and just that really low impedance of that source. Um, um,
Well,
anyway,
we have more or less designed one of those before.
yes, yeah. I mean that's pretty much exactly what the GPS power supply is.
Bingo.
Yeah, yeah. Where we yeah, it's for a very different purpose, but yeah, it's a very low distortion, low frequency oscillator, feeding what was at the time just a miniaturized version of the MXR output stage, three phase. So three phase oscillator and a three phase, three individual phase amplifier output stages feeding the three phase synchronous motor for their DPS. Yep. Yeah, exactly same idea, pretty much.
Yeah. So yeah, I
So,
guess aside from this, we have made another power
yeah,
product for another
sure.
application. Um, but yeah, those are cool. I mean, as you indicated, like the quality of your power, where you are, like there's so many factors that go into like how much of a benefit something like that might be. It's like I think, the better your baseline power is to start, the less of an impact something like that is probably gonna make.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
there's a bunch of different failure points on those too. You've got capacitors that can go. You've got, um, I mean, they've got transistors in them still, right? Like a
those
pound,
ones.
yeah.
Yeah,
And so those could fail. There's the oscillators that can go. I mean, there's a lot of
yeah,
things that could go wrong. Whereas something like this, it's kind of bomb proof almost.
yep,
It's like,
yeah. That's funny you say bomb proof. The story about this because when we were first showing, when we had like the first prototypes of this, and so our sales guy was traveling around with it, and so and maybe I've already talked about this, I don't remember.
hmm.
He shut down the Oakland airport
Oh, we
because
did.
he was carrying it on and went through TSA and the X-ray of it, because it's this box and a bunch of wires coiled around, and it looked like a bomb to them.
Yeah,
And
you
so
have
they
it in a suitcase.
suitcase, and so they shut it down. They jammed the cell phones, shut the airport down entirely, and took him into the back room and asked him to open up his. We loved that back at the factory. We had a good laugh as
I
he as he called us afterwards from somewhere from Oakland.
I think we're always going to laugh at that. That is a
Yeah.
great piece of air history there. Air acoustics shut down an airport
Yes, unintentionally,
unintentionally.
obviously.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Um, well, yeah, it's pretty bomb proof, it seems to me.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, we've got passive power filtration, power conditioners. We got the active stuff like sine wave generators. Something else that we had a chance to test here by way of a good friend that I made at Southwest Audio Fest last year that I was pretty
Oh,
impressed by. I thought this thing was pretty cool. Was
yeah, we talked about that. Yeah.
an isolation transformer.
Mm.
Um, so my friend Marshall Terry at Terry Audio let me borrow at the shop here for a while what he classifies as a balanced 30 amp capable whole room isolation transformer. Like that looks like Marshall's a pro guy and he's got a very unique aesthetic. He likes those Beatles monitors from Abbey Road's studio, and he looks like he could be a live action Shaggy and Scooby Doo kind of like he's got a unique style and aesthetic. But this thing is looks like an ammo box with a giant.
Right.
It's technically a 40 amp capable EI core transformer, but it's wound, I guess, to handle 30 amp. I mean, he rates it at 30 amp, but um, it's like encased in stone and epoxy to dampen it and such. But just one connection to the wall, one connection out, and um, it was really cool working with that in conjunction with this. Like I had the L5 connected to it and had tested it with the MXRs and some of the source components, and I found something like that. Um, it was interesting. Without it, the imaging seemed wider and more open and spacious.
Yeah.
But with it, it kind of pulled things in, but it was like it just like got a lot more oomph to it. Like you could feel a difference in the bass a little bit. I thought that was
Yeah.
pretty interesting using the MXRs on it. But what are your thoughts on isolation transformers?
Don't I I have not played with or experienced it very much, so I don't have any public thoughts yet.
Well, I mean, in essence, that is kind of acting like what the transformers within our products do itself, right? But just on a larger scale. So,
Yeah. I mean, there's a very different function there, where because the transformers inside our products are they're doing a voltage conversion, voltage and current conversion, whereas an isolation transformer is only isolating. The voltage is the same, the current's the same.
got it.
There's no
Yeah.
current change across that across that gap essentially. So they're different functions. Um, yeah, so I wouldn't compare them directly the
Hmm.
same way.
Well, I did think that it was quite unique that he landed on using a massive EI core transformer for that application.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they're going to have much better kind of RF filtering naturally in the EI core than would in toroid, which is one of the reasons why we like EIs also, is
Yeah.
that they are a bit more forgiving in that way.
Yeah. Yeah. So this technology, the air conditioning technology, in conjunction with the EI core transformers, has kind of a notable additive effect, then, probably, huh?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, you might say that might be more beneficial even on a toroid, just because they need that additional filtering almost more. But
That's a good point.
you know,
That's a good point.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, this is pretty cool little gizmo.
yeah.
As far as building one, are we still building them?
Uh,
Secret menu.
it's a little bit. We've more or less kind of quietly discontinued them. We have we can build certain models we might be able to build. And if suddenly demand suddenly increased, it would be pretty easy to bring it back or bring back a few. I'm not promising anything there, but
Yeah.
again, it's a pretty. I mean, it's a very simple product. Aside, it's there are some tricks to assembling it that are, but anyway, it's there are not many parts, obviously.
Well, as much as I love this chassis, I think it would be cool to see an updated one for the 8 series, maybe.
Yeah, I would love to do it. We've been thinking about and talking about that for years now, and so I've got ideas there, and we've been playing around with some stuff. So
Yeah.
it's again no promises there, but yeah, I do want to do something like that. That would be a bit more, wouldn't be quite as the the filtering function, the actual filtering would still be similarly just kind of hardwired, but I want to add it for something like the 8 series for this era would be like to have it some more kind of user interface features and not be quite as a dumb interface product.
Yeah.
To be able to maybe monitor, sense, perhaps sense the voltage, or be able to display what the current voltage is and current draw or something. I would love to do something like that. And that's not rocket science. So
No. It'd be neat if there was like a low voltage situation and it like tripped it or something, if it was able to kind of like snapshot that and
right.
kind of let you know like, hey, why did it turn off? And it shows you kind of what that low voltage ended up being measured out at or something like that.
Yeah.
But in an 8 series chassis, we could get away with duplexes a little easier than this, so
Right.
we could load it up with more. There's right now, what, 6, 7 products in the 8 series? PX8, KX8, VX8, CX8,
EX8.
EX8.
I think it was 5.
Yeah. Huh. Are we
Q.
forgetting one?
I think
Q,
Q was one of them.
K, C, E. Nah.
I think there's 5.
Yeah. Well,
Anyway,
we should know this.
we should.
But yeah, with an 8 series chassis one, you could load a much larger system all up on one of them, and maybe even incorporate some of these other elements like we were just talking about, like isolation transformer,
Potentially.
something like that. So that'd be kind of neat. It's kind of neat, and would like to explore some other power product ideas down the road. Maybe like direct DC powering some stuff. Um, we've got ideas. I
Yeah.
don't know if we're ready to talk about all
Heck,
these right
no.
now.
No, there's so many possibilities. Yeah. It's endless.
Yeah, but that product
Yeah.
15,
There you go.
it's pretty awesome. It's fun. It's a cool little product. It actually, I mean, yeah, we don't like to do trade shows without these. So,
Exactly right. Yeah. Yeah, whenever we have it, yeah, both in our sound room, and whenever we go to a show and we set up a system, yeah, we always have this as part of it. I mean, it's usually hidden. It's usually behind something. You don't usually see it, but it's there.
it's the unsung
Yeah.
hero.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Happy to.
thanks for your stories on it.
Yeah.
Thought that was pretty cool. I love that story about the airport.
Yeah.
Um, Hopefully that doesn't happen again, but I have this
No.
sneaking suspicion it might. Well, I've already
All right.
finished my delicious watermelon juice to our friends in Munich. You're probably going to need some of this. Go get some watermelon juice from all that
Yeah.
beer you're probably drinking out there. And yeah, we've got our own show domestically here creeping up,
Sneak
the
up.
the
Kind of.
California audio show. So I think it is maybe decided Ariel's going to sit that one out. Seems. Yes, maybe.
Most likely.
Most
We've
likely.
got a lot to do here, so
Yeah.
we'll see.
I want you still developing stuff.
Yeah, I'm behind, I'll just say.
Um, but yeah, we've got other shows planned for later in the year, so maybe we can both be present at some of those other ones like New York and or Capital Audio Fest, and I'm in the talks of trying to get some dealer events going for us too. So we'll make a little
Mhm.
tour and try to hit a few of our dealers. But um, yeah, I think
Well,
that's about it. Cheers.
cheers. Thanks.
Nice hanging out with you, Ariel. Thanks for hanging out with us. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. You helped us break 1,000 subscribers, and we're racking up the hours, and that helps us a lot. So thank you all. So have a good week. Have a good week. See you next time.
Cheers.